Award-winning veteran photographer Dr Peter Magubane will be laid to rest in a special provincial funeral in Johannesburg today. The legendary lensman who passed away on New Year's Day has been praised for his passion to capture iconic images during the struggle for freedom. Yeah, his body of work includes the coverage of the June 16 student uprising, which earned him global recognition. President Cyril Ramaphosa will deliver the eulogy at the funeral later today. Newzroom Afrika's Nqobile Madlala is watching developments from the family home in Omonde, but we're also watching developments from the Bryanston Methodist Church. That's where we find our Zola Sholwana. Nqobile, let's begin with you once again this morning. I imagine a whole lot more activity outside the family home, given that there's just about an hour until the official funeral starts in Bryanston.
Yes, in fact, I'm just going to show you what's happening behind me. You can see already, this is the hearse that's going to basically fetch the photographer's remains, and the family is already outside at this very point. We know that they wanted to leave at about 7:45, and of course it's 8 o'clock now, so they are getting ready to leave their household. We know that they've had a prayer session inside, just also a bit of just talking outside and just having some conversations. Of course, it's a difficult time for the family, and that's why I want to speak to Magubane's grandchild, who can speak to us about those memories that you will forever cherish.
A very good morning. First of all, it's a very tough time for the family. To the rest of the world, this is Dr. Peter Magubane, a photojournalist who's got a lot of escapades. But to us, he's Opa. You know, it's a very, very difficult time, and I feel like today it's a reality check. The whole week we're here with family, cousins, sisters, brothers, grandkids, you know. But today it's a reality check to say this is why we were here the whole week. You know, eating cake, speaking to journalists, but it's a very tough time, man. The one thing that I'll say is we'll remember our grandfather. Just like any other human being has a mom, a dad, and a granddad. To us, we'd lost a valuable asset. You know, the person that taught us hard work and dedication, the person that was always hard on us in terms of schoolwork and making sure that we persist in terms of life. We're very sad to miss Dr. Peter Magubane, but we must not stop to rejoice his life and the achievements that he has done. It took us a long time as family to realize how big he is, you know, and as a grandchild, for me, it puts a little bit of pressure to say, hey, I cannot play around. I need to always push, and I'm always going to miss making fun of his white hair. You know, I used to ask him about it and say, is it a dye job, or or did you dye your hair? What's going on? You know, and he'd laugh and he'd say, it's wisdom. And then he'd turn around and say, no, it's enlightenment. So hence, I'd always ask him for advice about life gestures. And I mean, after losing my dad, he always encouraged me to be the man that I am. Right now, I'm raising a 14-year-old, and we're going to miss him, man. And lala ngokolo baba.
Tell me, now that, of course, the family is going to be leaving, going to church, what have you spoken about? What sort of memories have you shared amongst each other?
The biggest memory is that we've been talking about Ubabumkhulu, or Opa, and the advice that he always gave the family. And a grandpa, I mean, everyone, like I said, sees Opa on TV. To us, he was just a grandfather. You know, it would be confusing seeing him on TV and then having to see him in real life. But to all of us, he's a human being. He's Opa, Ubabumkhulu, and we just talk about missing the old man, and that's it, yeah.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. Well, more activities, of course, taking place right behind us. We already have the Gauteng police that's going to be, traffic police that's going to be escorting the family, of course, and we have seen some of the family members coming in. And as you can hear there, a very difficult time for the family. They will always remember their grandfather, as the grandchild was saying, that there's a lot to remember from his character, the way that he was always dedicated towards them, and those advisors that he always shared with them.
All right, Nqobile Madlala, thanks very much indeed. We're going to try stay with some of the visuals coming from where you're at, outside the Magubane family home in Omondi. But as we do that, let's bring in Zola Sholwana, who's also watching the story, but from the Bryanston Methodist Church. That's where much of the official proceedings are likely to unfold there, Zola. And as it were, well-known painter is also there, whose name just escaped me. But you'll tell us what else is taking place there. Rasta, there you go.
Well, Ayanda, as you have mentioned, Rasta has already started, with what he's best known for, with his paintings. But obviously, we'll show you that a little bit later on. But I can tell you that more dignitaries have started making their way to the church as the service is expected to start in less than 50 minutes. We are told that everyone is expected to be seated by 8:30 so that everything can be started on time. Now, looking at the program, we've got two program directors, which is the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Mr. Nqobile, who will be making his way shortly, and Mr. Phil Molefe, who's also a veteran journalist and will be leading most of the program today. And I'm joined by him. So thank you very much for your time. And of course, today is actually quite a sad day for a lot of people that have really worked with him rather, and also drawn some inspiration from Mr. Magubane. What are your fondest memories of him?
Well, good morning, Zola, and good morning to the viewers. It is indeed a sad day for the media fraternity and the country at large. But we have very, very good and fond memories of Dr. Peter Saxford Magubane. We used to call him Bra Peter. I was very privileged and fortunate to have known him from an early age because I was born and raised at Sharpeville. So he used to come to Sharpeville a lot. And later, when I became a journalist, I had that very rare opportunity of interacting very closely with him. He was very, very brave. He was the quintessential tough guy. Very tough, very strong, silent and self-contained. Peter did it the way he wanted to do it. And there was no restraining. Nothing could come in between Peter and the picture he wanted to capture. And yes.
Now, speaking about that, at some point, you'd understand as a veteran journalist that being a journalist during the time of apartheid came with a lot of challenges and restrictions. At some point, Mr. Peter was arrested for about 5 years and banned from being a photojournalist, and that did not stop him from pursuing his passion.
Peter was selfless, but Peter was committed through and through. And as I said, nothing could stop him from what he wanted to achieve. Not only did he capture the South African story, but he was also good at documenting history. He documented the in-depth story of South Africa, and he followed the subject matter through. And so he was so committed in his craft that even detention could not stop him from doing his work. Police harassment. He was harassed, he was detained, he was tortured. In fact, at one stage, his house was petrol bombed. But Bra Peter continued to do the work, and he was an inspiration to many of us.
Thank you very much for your time, and Dr. Phil, we'll have to let you go so you can start preparing, as he is one of the program directors for today alongside the sports minister, Nqobile. And I just want to show you before I hand over to Ayanda, Rasta has already started with what he's known best for, with his painting of Dr Magubane. And obviously, after the funeral is done, we will get to show our viewers the final product, assuming that by that time he will be done. Ayanda, that's all. Ayanda, just to correct myself, Mr. Magubane, let's bring it back to you in studio. We'll come back with more updates later on.
All right, so Lasholana there with live visuals unfolding outside the Bryanston, or rather inside the Bryanston Methodist Church. That's where we can see well-known painter Rasta doing what he's become known for, really, which is to try capture the images of well-known people who we now lay to rest. Ironically, capturing the image of someone who's known for capturing iconic images. And on the right-hand side of your screen there are live developments unfolding outside the Magubane family home. That's where we're expecting the family to essentially head out from Omonde, that's where they're at, and make their way to the Bryanston Methodist Church. It's a story we'll certainly continue to watch for you as it continues to unfold.